Hello, this is R-Steenberg. Welcome to a discussion about the literacy-rich environment. Environmental print is the print of everyday life. Welcome to my blog. The literacy-rich environment puts focus on reading, writing, and speaking. This involves materials that will facilitate language and literacy opportunities through explicit instruction and the intent from the teacher. This can be print everywhere in your classroom. Alphabets, labels, names, functional prints, weather, charts, maps, calendar, different subject areas. The goals of a print-rich environment is to encourage reading, writing, listening, and speaking. So why do we need a print-rich environment then? Because it supports all four the domains of language, which we already talked about. In the literacy-rich classroom, students are surrounded by opportunities to see and to interact with print. Although the print-rich environment takes on many forms, it should be interactive and meaningful. And the literacy skills are taught at every opportunity possible in a print-rich classroom. Continuing on the need for a print-rich environment, students rely solely on the enriching literacy experience they receive in daycare, preschool, and the elementary school because that might be the only language experience they have. Many students do not have meaningful language experiences at home. Environmental print in a classroom will tell the students that writing communicates something to the reader. The students will then eagerly use, communicate, and model what they see in their environment, which is very necessary. One of the readers and researchers mentioned in their book, Children Reading for Pleasure, that the most beneficial e-reading, like reading on tablets, is only meaningful when there is an activity on the child's part. But there's different contradicting research lately about this. Right now, if I think about digital reading, we use it in school. Kids are constantly reading from the smart boards. Some schools still use TVs. Screen-based reading behavior is characterized by more time spent on browsing, scanning, keyword spotting, one-time reading, non-linear reading, and reading more selectively, while less time is spent now on in-depth reading, concentrated reading, and decreased sustained attention as the result. What are the outcomes on screen reading compared with reading and printing? The latest research showed that reading online results in lower understanding and less critical reflection. Many students find that media-rich content, quick links on e-readers, for flexibility of approach, and often cheaper cost is why they would use an e-reader before they would use printed materials. Making connections with books or stories in the class and with books that they are familiar with helps the students to build meaning in their lives and to make connections to the book. So a beautiful book area full of printed materials is a must for students who want to excel in their reading. I came across something while I was doing research, the 21st century classroom model, and this person said, sadly said, it wasn't until I started implementing elements of the 21st century classroom that my classroom became a literacy-rich environment. So that was very interesting to me. And then I thought about myself, and this is how I feel when I want to see my new classroom or a new classroom. I want to see how does the walls look like? What is the opportunities for me to create a print-rich environment? Because I would be able to prepare for all the subjects and having print-rich experiences on those walls for the learners. Of course, different types of books and one of the Kids and Family reading report from 2012 said that ebooks are better than printed books when they do not want their friends to know what book they are reading or when they are out and about traveling. And the printed books are better when you are sharing them with your friends and you are reading them at bedtime. So I was very interested in this digital reading and printed book reading since we're talking about print-rich environment. Um, Vocabulary, definitely from word work and spelling right down to the vocabulary of a new book or the vocabulary of a new unit. Classroom culture, observing what students are doing and how they are feeling, um, is one of the ways for a teacher to measure this classroom culture and also to take looking at the concerns in conversations to build social understanding and to help our students to problem solve. Practices like read the room or write the room will also help develop oral and written skills. Vocabulary, when we look at expanding our students' language by repeating it with descriptive words, this is from the teacher's side, by using words correctly when a student have incorrectly used them, by repeating it again, and this will add to build on student ideas and student vocabulary. Um, Acting out stories and books that we have read also will solidify certain of the vocabulary that the students have learned. One of the things we can teach our students is accountable talk during small group time, whether it's in math time or in science period, when we use the correct language that we have just learned. Information-intensive environments promote classroom culture that value literacy exploration. Students should also be taught how to use the words in the content, how to use context clues, and decide when a word is important to know. This means that students' engagement with a wide variety of fiction and non-fiction texts help to build oral language, knowledge, vocabulary, and these are all the real keys to comprehension and in-depth reading. Students with learning disabilities feels heard, seen, appreciated when they have equal access to practices in their learning and especially in their language and on their level. And this involvement and engagement creates a positive classroom climate. Intensive environments foster print intensive environments, foster critical thinking. Students develop their critical thinking skills, ask insightful questions, participate in meaningful conversations, and this is what we want for our classroom culture and for our vocabulary extension. Of course, in the writing area, different kinds of paper and print and construction paper and cardstock, and how you set up the writing area so that the student want to engage in these writing experiences. How does oral language and an information intensive environment affects our reading and writing in our students? It helps students to begin to understand how oral and written language works. Um, of course, the intentional, purposeful, and meaningful way that the teacher explicitly engages in conversations and discussions also help build the skills that is necessary for the students. Again, one of these digital literacy comments and researchers said, Raif, Yao, and Warschauer in 2016 in their report on using tablet-based ebooks with younger children commented that enhanced ebooks with sounds, animations, and games can even reduce student learning. Uh, while when book sharing with an adult, conversations during ebook reading often is more about the platform than it is, while when you read a printed book, would be more about the content. Teachers who intentionally plan and facilitate language and literacy instruction provide ample opportunities for extended discussions and through key instructional strategies like spending deliberate and recurring time in one-on-one conversations with the students, creating peer-to-peer talk. We all have these strategies, turn and talk, um, teaching them accountable talk, using research-based books and book sharing strategies during these small group times, intentionally design play and learning spaces that will incorporate, like dramatic play, that will incorporate activities where literacy is concerned. Demonstrating the uses of literacy throughout the day by writing lists together, dictating children's or students' spoken words, literacy experience of students may have limited exposure. For students who may have limited exposure to literacy due to delays of disorders in their development, they will benefit from a variety of appropriate materials. Accessible literacy activities from appropriate materials will immerse students with disabilities in the language and the literacy experiences that they need. And these information intensive environments foster critical thinking, where the students can ask insightful questions and be part of meaningful conversations. Different spaces that are themed will help students understand and remember the meaning of new words and information, especially when you build activities around a theme or a project. Of course, the same is in math, and thank you for exploring information intensive environments with me.